Good evening, good night, good morning from wherever you are tuning into the live stream tonight. Hi, True North just said something cool. Solid. Right, not many viewers just yet, so I'm gonna hang tight till some people join. Hey, what's up? Cool. How was your Sunday? Oh, how was my Thanksgiving? Good. I saw a lot of my relatives, and it can feel like there's a little bit of pressure there when you see all your relatives at Thanksgiving, but you get through it because at the end of the day, no matter how intimidating being surrounded by that many people is, that want to know how you're doing and how's life and what are all the new developments, at the end of the day, you know that they love you and they just want to make sure that you're happy and that everything's good. So, relatives, it's really cool to have them, and we should be very grateful for them. Even if they have some different views than us or whatever it may be, I'm very lucky to have a bunch of relatives who I can see eye to eye with on like everything. So that's really awesome. And if we disagree on something, they're very, very good at, well, I don't know. It's not like if we disagree on something with relatives, I feel like I never have to. What? I feel like my relatives aren't there to start an argument by any means. They are really there to stay close as a family and keep that going. Hey. Hi, Emma. Thank you. I thought I saw you at Mass in Delaware. I was straight staring at some lady. Oh no, Jacob, really? I haven't been to Mass in Delaware yet, but that's not very far off. So there is a chance. Like, that wasn't too far off to assume it could have been me, but it was not this time, I'm afraid. That's really funny, though. I am bilocating 2 different churches on Sunday, so look out. That is funny. Because technically you are attending Mass with me. So if you see me in Mass, that might be wrong to see me there, but we are attending Mass with all the saints who've ever been to Mass and all the people who've ever been to Mass in some way, which is why you can pray for anybody at a Mass, like Padre Pio says, because it when you're going into things of eternity, the way that time works is a little bit different. So you can still pray for a person even if they've already died after committing a terrible crime or something like that. Let's say an example would be if somebody has committed suicide and you go and pray for them at Mass. Padre Pio says that's still going to, help them as if kind of before it even happened, I guess. I'm trying to think about what he said, but either way, even if somebody is already in heaven, Padre Pio says that you should keep going to Mass anyway, because it might be making up for those prayers that got them there. Like your Mass that you're saying for them might be one of the many that got them to heaven anyway. So you should still go to Mass and say Mass for these people who have died, even if they're already in heaven. Hi, Renee. I just put the tea in the kettle, and then I saw this tea and chat live show. That is so funny. Wow, that's funny. Hi, Robbie. That doesn't make sense. Hey, Tradney, 85. I remember you. You used to watch me about 8 years ago when I was on here. It's good to see you again. I'm sorry I'm not very good at explaining what Padre Pio and the Catholic Church believes about Mass and its how it is eternal, and how we are, when we go to Mass, we're not repeating something. We are attending the same sacrifice of Christ on the cross, and like it's a one event and it's in eternity. Does that make sense? Like we're not redoing the Mass every time we go. We're participating in the same one, which is why all the saints and angels and Mary are present at every Mass that you attend. So when you pray for people who are even in heaven, it's God could be like, oh, like they're already in heaven, they don't need it. Well, you don't actually know. Only God would actually know that if they don't need it. I'm getting really deep into my own head here, so I got to remember to stay with the good explanations for the audience in front of me and not go off on my own far off thoughts here. But so you know how it is with me. I'm kind of all over the map when I talk, but I still have decided to keep going on the internet anyways, even though I don't always have the most precise explanations and answers for things. But I've found that even so, coming on here has been beneficial for my faith life, and I've heard many good things from people who watch, which is very nice too. So even if I'm confusing and all over the map, I appreciate that you guys are here and listening and talking with me, I should say. So thank you. Padre Pio prayed for his dead grandfather for years, I heard. Yes. It's a Padre Pio thing specifically if you want to learn about the philosophy behind the eternity of the Mass. He covers that really, really well. And praying for dead people who could already be in heaven or, yeah. So I think the story was Padre Pio, this man came up to him and said something like, oh, please pray for my brother who passed away. And Padre Pio said, oh, guess what? Padre Pio said, your brother is already in heaven. And the guy went, what? Really? Wow. And went away all happy. But later that week or something, Padre Pio still said a mass for the guy's dead brother. And the guy came up after mass and said, I thought you said he was already in heaven. And that's where Padre Pio explains that him saying mass could still be making up for that man who is in heaven, but is still in heaven at almost a little bit of a debt until we pray for them and fulfill those masses that they needed. It's a weird thing because eternity is involved and timing is way different, and that is the main confusion with everything, is understanding eternity when it comes to that Padre Pio story. Okay. You're on the bus on the way back to New York City and saw the live notification pop up. Yay, that's awesome, Melanie. Good to see you. Yeah, I always offer my Mass intentions at each elevation and also during the memento part when the priest pauses to recall intentions. Cool. Thanks, Joshua. You have a doctor's appointment for some unknown issues. Okay, I'll pray for you. I have a hard time believing in an all-knowing, all-powerful God wrote the Bible. Seems like God doesn't know everything that people have discovered. Yeah, that's a huge, huge question. And in a humble sense, I'm going to have to not answer it right now since it would take a very long time and maybe the whole live stream. But even though there isn't a great answer to it. Okay. You may have needed that mass to make it out of purgatory, even if it is applied from the future. Very good. That's true. Okay. If you went to Mass, oh, it's the guy who thought he saw me at Mass again. He says, if you went to Mass in Dover, Delaware at Holy Cross, please let me know. I would love to meet you. Oh, cool. Yeah, we'll see what happens if I ever get over there, because I'm not too far from Delaware at this time. Okay. Okay, good night, Sue. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, you're new here. How long have I been live streaming? Well, I mean, long answer. I've been live streaming for 9 minutes tonight. I've been doing live streams over the past month, and I usually don't do them on this channel, but I decided to because it's just the easiest, most efficient way I can fit vlogging in my life right now, honestly, because there's no editing, there's no script writing, there's no acting at all involved. It's just sit down and chat and talk with you guys and keep up, because what is Catholicism? But also, beyond everything awesome that it is, a beautiful friendship between the body of Christ and all of its members. So I should keep up the conversation with you guys. Oh, thank you, Daniel. Thank you. Yeah. to continue the long answer to that question, I started vlogging when I was 16 years old in about July of 2011, I think. So I am 23 now in 2018, and that's pretty cool that I'm still doing this. It's been a very long time, and I do believe this channel would be the longest running, youngest Catholic YouTube channel in the world, if that makes sense. I'm not the youngest Catholic YouTuber, but I'm the youngest, longest running channel, which is crazy to comprehend. Can you do the eyebrow thing? I'm not sure which eyebrow thing. If it's just the eyebrow raise, I can do that. I want to do an Advent kind of like a Lent where everyone vlogged during Lent, but I don't know if I can make a video every day. Yeah, the easiest way to make videos every day I discovered was to just have like a quick webcam sit down and chat type of a thing, but it's always intimidating because you feel like you have to be kind of ready for the camera and blah, blah, blah. You started YouTube when you were 16 too, and I've got thousands of views now. Yeah, Kensta, I've gone to your channel. It's awesome. So good job. It's really sweet. Tradney 85. Yeah, don't you feel old? No, I'm not kidding you. Tradney 85 in the comments was one of my first, he was definitely under my first 50 viewers or subscribers, if not in the first 30 subscribers of my channel. So it's really awesome to see you. Hey, it's Random Catholic Thoughts. How are you? Thank you for tuning in. It's sweet. Yeah. So, in a way, I was thinking about this today, the pursuit of, I'm doing well, thank you. I'm doing really well. Everything's really, really good right now, actually. I'm very grateful for that. In a way, vlogging is a lot like, no, let me say this in another direction. The pursuit of sainthood consists of getting up and choosing God every day for multiple days throughout your life, if not every day, if you can. So you're faced with the choice of God or the world every single day on the pursuit to sainthood. You might say, a lot of Christians might say that you choose God one time, you are saved and done. But I know they would believe this too when I say it, that you choose God every day. You have to choose him again and again and again and again. And it's kind of a mercy that you have another day to choose him again after all the other days that you did not. So each day is a great mercy and a great sign of his love. And then I say with vlogging, it's the same, a little bit of the same concept, just a little bit, where specifically with Catholic YouTube videos, specifically for them, you have to sit down and choose day after day, week after week, maybe month after month, to either have that one be your last video that you ever made, or come back and do another video and come back again. So it is a choice and it is a discipline. Why did someone dislike this? Well, Spider Nymph, believe it or not, there are some people in the world who do not like me very much, and that's the way life will be, especially the more people you expose yourself to, and the more people you sit in front of, the more people you talk in front of. And of course, if you have any sort of opinion whatsoever, there's going to be people who don't like you. Okay, I'm going to catch up on some comments because you guys are being wonderfully talkative today. Oh, thank you. Thank you for making such awesome vids. Look forward to your vids so much. Thank you. Very nice. I will pray for everybody. Pray for Allie G's. Her best friend's uncle is in hospice. Please pray for him. Okay. You remind me of Kate Middleton. Be blessed. Whenever she's in the news or something, I get it a lot. But then when she's not in the news for a long time, I don't get it at all. It's when she has a baby that I get a bunch of people saying it. In real life, though, I don't. Oh, never mind. Do you think Okay, question. Do you think dating someone who is Christian can work? I need some advice, says Alex. I'll tell you what kind of people are best is, I mean, not that there's one flat across the board answer. I do things I dislike. Generalizations covering every single person, and kind of ultimatums with once again tons of people. Like, if can you date a Christian? Yes or no. Will it ever work out? Yes or no. Here's my answer that I've thought about. And you can say, well, a lot of people have converted to Catholicism because they dated a Catholic, or they just came through it on their own over time. There's one thing underlying between the people who became Catholic later in life, from whatever religion, and it was that they were thinkers and they were open-minded, but they were pursuers of the truth in their lives. You can date some Christian out there who was baptized Christian and not Catholic. It's like, yeah, I'm not Catholic, but we could still date, right? Like, I'm a great person. It's like, yeah, but are you a pursuer of truth? And when you find out the truth, when this person finds out the truth, do they respect it and do they follow it? Or do they still go after what they want to do? Because a lot of people aren't Catholic because, like Fulton Sheen says, they what they've learned about the church is wrong, or it's our fault that they haven't heard about it yet and heard about all the answers and the details. So if you have somebody who's doing their best in life, and when they find out something is true and good, they go after it, when they're a lover of beauty, a lover of the good, the true, and the beautiful, and they're a respecter of what is good and true and beautiful, and they go after what is true and they respect what is true, those kinds of people, whatever religion they start out to be, it's like, so, and I guess in a very short way of saying, it's like an open-minded person in a way. And hopefully, I would hope that even myself and even other Catholics are open-minded to new truths that can come in that are in correspondence with the truths of the Catholic Church. And they never sit in the dusty corner with what they've learned, and they're always learning more and challenging their beliefs, because we know the truth always wins in the end, and it will build upon itself and defend itself. So go ahead and challenge it, and go ahead and ask all the questions you want, because you might not get all the answers in this life per se, but you will get a lot of them. And you'll find they're all right under your nose in the traditions and in the writings and in the truths of the Catholic faith. So go ahead, test it. Test the Catholic faith all you want. Do it. But like I said, with people, dating people who are of other religions, but in your question specifically Christian, what kind of person are they? People can't really help where they're born, what family they're born into, what environment they're born into, but what is in their heart, and do they respect truth when they learn that something is right and good, or do they not? And do they even pursue truth in the first place, or do they just hang on to their own personal truths, no matter what kind of comes their way? Okay. Am I planning on attending a March for Life this year? Yes, I am. I hope I do. If I don't, it's because something crazy came up, but I really have no excuse this year, and I should be going, and we could even organize something in some way about meetings and stuff. Yeah, if you're new to watching my channel, please know that if I ever say anything contrary to the faith, point it out in the comments. And by all means, I would personally like people to just assume I meant the Catholic version of the things I talk about just all the time. But if ever I'm wrong, I don't want to be wrong, and I never want to be outside the church. And I believe St. Thomas Aquinas says at the beginning of his Summa Theologica that if new truths are discovered throughout time in the Catholic Church that contradict what he's written, he says, by all means. I never ever would want to contradict the church and the truth, so I would comply to those truths that we discover. He would that's what he said at the beginning of the Summa. Okay. I was in a Protestant family and converted my senior year. Wow, Jacob, I didn't know that. Okay. This video of yours will always be my favorite. How to eliminate the sinful alter ego we hide from others. I watch it every time I feel lame. I remember that video, and that's so funny you say that, because I know within the last month I rewatched that one specifically because I kid you not, I was like, what did I say about fixing that problem again? And I went back and I was trying to see what I had said, and I was like, oh, right, that's what it was. It's, will Our Lady of Puns be making another appearance at some point? I know a lot of people love the Our Lady of Puns videos, but even at the time that I was handed the script, I went, I don't really want to portray Mary at all in any sort of like joking manner. I really, really felt odd and weird and uncomfortable about the whole thing. To this day, I still do, and I never try to like reshare that video or anything. It gets views on its own, but I don't feel right about it, and so I don't know if I'd ever reappear as Our Lady of Puns, even though I tried to do it in the best heart with just lighthearted, good jokes that were Marian. I still don't. I don't think I'll ever do that again. That was a one-time thing to me. Asparagus May was priceless, though. Oh my gosh. That was from the Catholic shopping video. I had a thing of asparagus, and I like used it like a holy water thing. And I said Asparagus May. And that was from a very old Catholic YouTuber who's no longer online. She Speaks with Wisdom. She made that pun like 5 years ago in a video, and it stuck with me because it was so good. So here's an interesting question. I'm Catholic and have been since birth, but I've been struggling with the idea that I could be wrong. What about the Catholic faith tells you it's true? I believe it. But I don't have a concrete answer as to why. I was fortunate to go through a high school that was a liberal arts Catholic high school where we had a Latin Mass every Thursday, and we learned the choir parts for the Mass and songs for the Mass. And also, the principal of the school was Eastern Rite Catholic, and the vice principal was very traditional Roman Rite. So we learned music for Eastern liturgy and then traditional Latin Mass. And I attended both of those. And then we read the Summa Theologica and all these other saints. We just read them and read them and read them. And asked so many questions. It was a Socratic method school where all the kids, and I'm telling you, kids that were like 12 through, 18 years old, would sit there and debate each other and learn how to argue respectfully because we were all good friends. There were only like 60 of us at the school. So we didn't want to hurt people's feelings, but we learned how to argue with each other. And you had the kid who went up there and who was, we had all sorts of kids in there. So you had kids who were very pro this and pro that and pro that. And we sit up and we'd come to a conclusion and we'd read these books. And I'm telling you that I can't sit here and say that I came with my own understanding of why I am still in the Catholic faith, but I was taught and learned and came to many of the conclusions to questions that I had about the afterlife and God through a lot of these books, to the point, and we did it so many times, that I've learned how to reason to some of the other questions that still come up in my life, how to face those questions and how to conclude how they tie in to the Catholic faith and to God. And so it's not like I have one magical answer as to why I believe the Catholic faith is the one, but I feel like I have done research and I have learned and I went to a good school. And also, when it comes to that, you say you know it's right in your heart, but you just can't explain it. You can't come to a conclusion. I have that feeling too in my heart, the one that just says, I know it's right. And I'm fortunate to have now backed it up with an education in the Catholic faith. But my feeling of I know it's right came from somewhere else. It came from something that happened in my life and a lot of things that continually happen in my life. And I'll explain that in a second. I have to read this. Okay. So when it comes to the feeling in my heart of why the Catholic Church is true, beyond all the learning I have done and have been taught and conclusions I come to, is because I have an older brother who passed away when I was about 9 years old, and he was in his teens at the time. And this happened probably, if I was like 9, you do the math, it's happened like 14 years ago or something. But there are two things that can happen when someone passes away. There are two reactions people can have, and probably many more than this, but they can have reactions where they are turned off to God. They are turned off to heaven. The whole idea of this magical man in the sky who's looking out for them because they are in such pain. They're in such pain and loss and abandonment and hurt, and they don't understand, and they don't think there's a logical conclusion to why people pass away. Nobody wants to hear that when they've lost someone dear to them that they miss terribly. Nobody wants to hear that. At the age that I was, it was a very interesting age because, yes, there is a lot of grief that happens, but there was also, a search to like reason it out and why it happened, so it wouldn't hurt so bad or whatever, or at least understand it a little bit. And my family's Catholic faith helped me to do that, helped it to make sense. And then going to school, I even learned more of why it makes sense and what happens after death and why some people go sooner than others and all of these things from reading the saints and things. But in my heart, I now carry a very strong hope that my family will one day be together. And I don't believe that these strong personalities, these strong energies, these people who are just dynamite out in the world, big personalities, I could never sit comfortably and say, or I could never sleep at night and say, oh, they just vanish. They go nowhere. They just dissipate and disappear. That personality of that loud, smiling, woman at church who passed away from cancer or something, she didn't vanish. She didn't disappear. I know that went somewhere, and I just feel it inside, and I'm like, yeah, feel. That's not really the way to talk about the Catholic faith, by just saying, I feel this, I feel that, understand. But I know, but we are talking about what makes me just kind of feel in my gut that it's right. And that doesn't just go without saying that gut feelings should all go out the window when it comes to making the conclusions about our faith and believing our faith. Because I say this, that Catholicism is, of course, it is pursuing the truth of life and the truth of the afterlife, but the truth of life, the truth of living, the truth of being human, being a human being, the whole, your whole journey as a person on this earth. There are answers to it, conclusions, there are the better things to do, and there are the not so great things to do. And so I do believe that in myself, there is a natural inclination towards the good, the true, and the beautiful, and the things that are right, and even the instinct that there is another place, there is more than this earth. And I just believe that in being human and following goodness, truth, and beauty, more is revealed and more wisdom can be given to you to know that such a place as heaven exists, even just in our feelings, because we are human beings and connected to our ultimate truths and ultimate goals for our purpose. All right. Man, my corgi is proof of God's love. True, dogs are pretty cute. Yes, and like I was talking about, an educational background for the Catholic faith is wonderful, and like the comments are recommending, look into St. Thomas Aquinas' 5 proofs of God's existence. We had to go through them in high school, and it was really, really hard, and I still, to this day, don't think I could have read it by myself. It's very, very complex, and the Summa Theologica builds on itself, kind of like Euclid's geometry builds on itself, where it's like, if you have this and this, you therefore have this. And if this is the case, and if you can add this to it and get this, and if that is true, then if you do this and this and this, then this other conclusion can come from that. Like the Summa builds on itself to the ultimate reality of God. So it's not like you can just read a few pages from the Summa and be like, oh, duh, I get it now. It's not like that at all. It takes like reading a lot of the Summa. And just like Euclid's propositions of geometry, if anybody's heard of him. Okay. And Scott Hahn is a wonderful place to start, though, for sure. I used to walk around Franciscan and see him and play ping pong with Scott Hahn's sons, but I don't want to, like, name drop. But we're talking about Scott Hahn right now, and I had to say it. Okay. You once made a video on Eastern Catholicism. Do you hail from an Eastern Catholic background? Interesting to hear of your exposure to Eastern Catholicism in university as well. Yes, in high school. Okay, my great-grandfather was 14 when he came over from the Austro-Hungarian Empire by himself, never to see any of his other family again, and settled in around Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I believe. And he was a Ukrainian man. And ever since then, my dad's side of the family has been baptizing their babies in the Eastern Rite of Catholicism, Ukrainian Eastern Rite, like me. And so I was baptized too. Now I have a Roman Catholic mom, and she's a very Irish Roman Catholic mom. And I went to Roman Catholic school growing up, and we'd go to Eastern Rite stuff for holidays and Christmas, Easter. And because we wanted to go to Mass with Grandma and Grandpa, we would go. So I didn't go every single Sunday to Eastern Rite liturgy, and that's what kind of people misunderstand, and that's why I felt kind of funny representing Eastern Catholicism online, because I'm not a well-studied scholar who went every day to Eastern Rite liturgy, but I could at least contribute one big fat video on Eastern Catholicism, which is what I knew indefinitely, which was, here is what it is going to look like when you go to an Eastern liturgy. I cannot perfectly explain all the historic backgrounds to everything that happens in the liturgy, but if you want to go, and if you have to go to one coming up and you are nervous, you don't know what to expect, this video is going to walk you through what happens at every point in the liturgy. And so I could make that, and so I made that because nobody had made that, and I thought, well, if nobody's made that, who else is going to make it? And I guess I could make it, so I did. And sometimes that's how life is. You're like, I wouldn't be the best person to do this, but nobody else is here. No one else is doing it. So give it a shot, because as St. Joan of Arc says, act and God will act. So make something good and see where God takes it. And that's really what that video was. I made it when I was like 18 and I used a deadline for a class project that could be about anything we wanted. So I was like, oh, maybe it'll be motivation to make an Eastern Catholic video, so I did. Okay. Oh, wow. Half of my family was also from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm a Ukrainian Catholic seminarian, so it's always great to hear about these kinds of things. Oh, that's great, Alex. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it. I am. And there's more background to the Ukrainian Intro to the Divine Liturgy video I could talk about that makes it a bit more special. So I might as well say it so that it's on the channel somewhere for people to know. My grandmother, she was a Lutheran, met my grandfather, met his whole family, and she just said, gosh, they're so friendly and nice, and they never pressure me about anything about religion or whatever. They just embrace me. They're such wonderful people. What is it that they have that I don't? I want what they have. In quotes, my grandmother, I want what they have. And she converted to Eastern Rite Catholicism. And my grandfather passed away maybe like 8 years ago. I'm not sure. But something tragic happened to Grandma, and that is that she had a terrible stroke. But her brain is completely 100% there, which is just a miracle. But the left side of her body isn't able to be used anymore. So her arm, nothing, and her leg, nothing. Nothing really. We had things anyway. Grandma couldn't go to church anymore. She couldn't go to the liturgy anymore. She couldn't go to her favorite little St. Mary's church anymore, and she missed that terribly. And the main reason above all that I made the intro to the Divine Liturgy video was because Grandma, who is still bedridden to this day, probably 6 years later, can go online, click on the Intro to the Divine Liturgy with Renee Shumay, and I filmed that video in her church. And I made sure to get every corner of that church in there so she could see it and click it and go to church anytime that she wanted, even though she, to this day, is bedridden and hasn't been able to go to her Divine Liturgy anymore. And so at the beginning of the video, you'll notice it's dedicated to a couple people. It's dedicated to my grandpa, it's dedicated to my brother, Dan, and it's dedicated to Shirley, who is that's her name. And I don't know if there's anybody else but those three. And that was the main purpose of that video. So despite it not being perfectly accurate in every single way, as I made it as a rushed 18-year-old teenager for a class project, the main point of it was to get that church on video. And that's the story of it. Wow. Thank you, Alex. Yes, I just wanted to make sure people knew that about that video because it was the main motivation for making it. And yes, you should make more videos exposing more of the Eastern Catholicism. I plan to create a YouTube page dedicated to introduce this to the Latino community. You should do that, and more people should do that. I'm not sure how many more videos I can make on Eastern Catholicism. I could do like a redone video of the Intro to the Divine Liturgy that's just done better, but is pretty much the same. But I'm not one who has heavily researched the topic or the history, so I haven't made a ton or any more like specifically Eastern Catholic videos, despite the fact I probably should. Any tips on how to approach topics like chastity and the vocation of matrimony to parents that aren't serious about the Catholic Church? Think about this. Again, the truths of the Catholic faith coincide with the truths of humanity and life. And we know that there is heartache when you just go around and give yourself out to anybody for any reason in the hookup culture. Not fun. And does not end up being that fun for the girl involved, unless people have really just blocked out emotions from that act altogether, which is not good. But think about it. At the end of the day, chastity saves your heart from a lot of pain, and that should just be something instinctual that you want to do. And it saves your mental health too, because I feel like you see sometimes these girls in these relationships with guys that have just lived however they wanted their whole life, and they get in a relationship with this girl who's already had 3 boyfriends who have cheated on her, and let's be honest, she's kind of psycho about her boyfriend checking his phone all the time. It's gotten to her head. It's not a healthy way to come into any relationship. This is about mental health and protecting your heart and your emotions and your happiness, and above all, like Padre Pio says, protecting your inner peace. Chastity. It makes sense. Just like Catholicism, it makes sense. It goes with life and being a human being and how we work and how we function and how we should treat ourselves because of the kinds of minds we have and the kinds of bodies we have. And so that's why it's a positive thing, because it's chastity and purity are you having full control of your life and your mental health and your happiness. You don't have to worry about things, as many things when you don't go around and be with a bunch of people, you just don't have to worry. Your physical health comes into play because you naturally can get, not naturally, but you can get diseases and stuff, and you can get pregnant at the wrong time, and that isn't great. And yeah, you're like, don't just list a bunch of things I'm not supposed to do. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just trying to help you be happy and at peace and also blameless, because to be blameless in your life takes off so much stress. Because if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, you did this, didn't you? You can be like, nope, I didn't. I did not. And even if they take you to court, you can still sit there with an inner peace because you did not. It's just, life is easier that way when you're not in trouble. And when it comes to using people outside of being in love and marrying people, it's wrong. So at the end of the day, if somebody gets hurt, it's like, yeah, you're both to blame for that. So not blameless again. It gets real messy. It can get real messy, as you've seen some of these people go off on each other on those weird shows, and it's just so messy. You just find somebody who actually loves you, and above all, find somebody that you would leave your kids with for a week if you suddenly had to go overseas for some random reason. Find a guy who you could leave the kids with for a week, who wouldn't catch the house on fire, have the kids run away, and who would actually pack their lunches, and like somebody responsible. That's what you're looking for, and somebody who, again, is a pursuer of goodness, truth, and beauty, and a respecter of the things that are right and is turned off by the things that are wrong. Yes. Yes, Mike Brown, you're giving your heart away. That's true. And that's not fun. That's one. Leo 91. Thank you for that testimony. That's really wow. Where there are problems with obedience, you'll find problems with chastity. Of course. Heard the Venerable Archbishop Fulton Sheen say this once. Amazing how well it applies beyond the clergy. Yes. Oh, hi, Randy. I saw your comment earlier today. I do read all the comments that come in on my videos, especially this channel. I don't get 100 a day. I get email notifications, so unfortunately, I read everything, which can make it really hard to vlog because I've probably read every nasty comment on my channel over the past 8 years, which isn't mentally great for me to do, but it's something I'm willing to keep doing these videos because I know they're helping others. I just have to make sure I don't internalize a lot of the negative comments that could hold me back from keeping up this channel. Yeah. Hi, Selena. Vincent, yes, I am Byzantine Catholic. Though I don't go to Divine Liturgy every Sunday, I go to Roman Rite, churches most of the time. Yeah, but I am baptized Byzantine, and I had confirmation, baptism, and First Communion all on the same baptismal day. And I don't have a middle name. All I have is Catherine, which is my confirmation name. I'm Renee Catherine, and that translates to reborn pure, as I discovered in high school when I made this channel. So everyone's like, oh, reborn pure, that sounds extreme. What happened in her past? I wonder if she used to be this and this and this. I'm like, it's my name. Translation of my name. But it was a very moving thing to discover that was the translation of my name in the kind of culture that we live in and in the kind of bombardment I've had to deal with throughout my life from the purity, anti-purity culture we live in. So that was a very hope-inducing thing to find out that my name, Renee Catherine, meant reborn pure. That was cool. Yeah, Trendy85, did you just find that out? 8 years later, he now knows the secret to my username. You're drinking coffee? Awesome, cheers. When was my first communion? It was on the same day as my baptism, so 23 years ago, sometime in spring, probably in May, I would think. Okay. You guys are great. This has been so fun, and I feel like we haven't had too many like annoying comments tonight, which is always a plus. Always a plus. So thank you. Yeah. Leo 91. You're a beauty with a nice name. Well, I can thank my parents for 2 of those things. Dad was a handsome man. No, I'm kidding. It's one time this group of girls said something like that. They're like, "You're so pretty. How do you do it?" And I just walked by it with a smug look, and I was like, "Daddy was a handsome man," and like made a funny face, and they all burst out laughing. So now I say that. Never mind. Forget it. I say on live streams you can't edit yourself, so please give me benefit of the doubt here. I didn't pick a confirmation name based off your video about we should pursue our own sainthood, not base our lives off of other saints. Oh, yeah. Yeah, every saint, every sinner has a future, and every saint has, I can't remember the quote, but every saint has their own story, okay? Yeah. Every saint has their own story. So you might be like, oh, Saint Therese of Lisieux started praying when she was like 12 or 14 or 15, and she was already so holy, and like, I didn't start till I was 28 or whatever age you are, and you're just bummed. And I used to think the same thing when I was taking drum lessons and learned that Ringo Starr started at 8 years old, and I was starting at 12. Well, what you gonna do? I'm not Ringo Starr, and I definitely wasn't because I didn't continue playing the drums. But yeah, every saint has their own story. So you're writing your own book, and you're writing your own you're writing your own story every time. Not every time you trip, but every time you get back up. And like I said, choosing God is a daily thing that you must do every single day. Every day. It's a mercy that you get another day all the time. You wake up on purpose. You're woken up on purpose, okay? Why did I think your confirmation name was Joan of Arc? She's mine. I thought you mentioned it in the video before. I think I might have said, like, if I could have chosen anybody to add to my name, it might be Joan of Arc, because she was like, she was my first saint I had any interest in learning about, you could say. And then they always say that the saints, you don't choose confirmation saints, or you don't choose the saints choose you. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. Yeah, Joan of Arc. I have a little sailboat that I named Joan of Arc, and all my friends pressured me, Renee, you have to name it Joan the Arc. I was like, you guys are terrible. So, okay. I've outlived some saints. I could have become a saint by now, right? I thought, like, man, some days I think, I said this in a video the other day, I said, God, why can't I go, and be in a non-dark way? Why can't I go to heaven now, go to heaven perfect now instead of committing more sins in the future and staying here longer, and just like, why can't I go earlier and be like unjaded by the world and be perfect for you? And I always have that thought in my head of God replying something like, okay, the quote was, wow, I'm totally blanking on this quote. Somebody probably has watched this and will be able to help me, but I said, God would go to the person who's worried about committing more sins in their life, who just wants to go to heaven now so they don't sin anymore. And God says, like, the good that you have the potential to do in the future is worth the risk of any sins you might commit. And the future sins you fear, I'm already waiting to forgive when you approach with a contrite heart, that is. Does that make sense? So I used to see myself back in the past when I was like 15 and praying a couple rosaries a day and just starting my vlog and really getting into it and going to daily mass. And I was like, man, why can't I be her again? Why can't I go back to that time? Why, God, did you let me, like, why did I keep going, even watching my faith spiral down and up and down and up and then down and down and down and up and up and up, and like, why did you let that happen? Why am I still here? You know, in a non-dark way. And the response was just, there's too much good you can still do, and that's worth it. And that the potential for you to do that good is so much greater than all the times you could mess up, because I am greater than all the times you can mess up, says the Lord. Why do you fear those sins? So every day that you wake up, you have the potential for that same good that God woke you up for, and He's waiting for you to choose it again and again and again. Someone once told me that getting beheaded from ISIS, that's easy. Earn martyrdom and up to heaven. That's why it'll never happen to her. A real test of faith is living her day-to-day life. Amen. I used to have people at my nice little Catholic school that were like, man, martyrdom would be so nice, because then it'd just be like straight to heaven. That seems so easy. And I was like, yeah, it does. But like, that does seem kind of easy. But at the same time, it's like, God knows what we still have to go through. He knows what He wants to use us for in the world. It's just living a day-to-day life can be even harder than that, like you just said. Yeah. I feel like God leaves us on earth because we still have work to do. We still have something to do to become a saint. Well, yes, of course. And I can tell you exactly what that is, why we're still on earth. Because people pray for God to help them on earth. And so God said, okay, here's what I got to do to help you guys on earth after you sinned and fell out of the garden. I have to become man. I have to become man. So He sends Jesus down, right? But that's not enough, because Jesus isn't going to stay down on earth forever, because it's not heaven. So Jesus says, okay, I need you guys to be me while I am up there in heaven. So I'm going to help you to become me and become one with me. So here is the Eucharist, okay? And by drinking this blood, eating this body and drinking of this blood, in that way can you be united to me, and in that way can you go and be the God, be God and be Jesus and be the hands and feet of Christ to the people who are in torment around the world, crying, where is God? I can't hear Him. I can't see Him. I'm so sad. My friend died and I am alone and there is no God. That's why you're here. That's why I'm here. Who else? I'm sorry, but the way it works is God isn't coming down on a throne to us. You've done too many things wrong if you think about it. This is no dwelling place for a king of kings, much less is the stable in Bethlehem. Well, that wasn't a dwelling place for Him either. That's not His seat. That's not His kingdom. His kingdom is not of this world. But here we are on this world, and we're able to participate in Christ and become like Christ, imitations of Christ, and be what people are praying for, be the help people are begging God for. When we wake up, stop going after the pursuits that are, constantly in our face, worldly pursuits, saying, oh, go buy that car, go on those just vacations forever, and go spend all that money on yourself, and just go, this world is for you, it's for you, what you want, it's for your plans. All this talk in our head is happening. And we really do have to block it out to be able to turn and act as Jesus Christ towards those people begging and praying to God for help, because we're the first responders. We're there, we're human, we're on earth with our feet on the ground and our minds in eternity with Jesus Christ. We answer the call. And does it matter if that person ends up converting to Catholicism by the end of our friendship? In a way, it's like, yes, that would be ideal, but I'm saying to you, don't pester people and don't be completely annoying about it. Because you're supposed to be there, you help them with that problem, show them Jesus Christ in your person. And I say that because I do not want people losing their inner peace over people that just are not converting or whatever. You can continue to pray for them. Continue to pray for them because we do want their soul in heaven. We do. We want their soul in heaven, but don't go after it like it's a numbers game, if that makes sense. Answer their prayer. Be the answer to their prayer. And be a loving person because Jesus is in that person who you're serving. And in that do you get your consolation, no matter how that person reacts or what in the world, because they might be off the chain. There was a person that St. Catherine of Siena helped. She had a lot of cancer, this woman in bed, and Catherine of Siena would go and be like a nurse to her, but she was so awful and so mean and so vile, gross, just disgusting, would spit at Catherine of Siena. Now, how the heck do you help somebody like that? And how the heck did Mother Teresa help people like that? You know what I'm getting to is looking through whatever's on the outside and not letting it disturb you too much. If that person continues and persists in just who they are and you can't change them, continue praying for them and treat them like Jesus. That sick person or that whoever it is, that is your mission. That's all you're here to do. So I promise you, every single video, there's one person that just comments, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm like, yes, I am. I didn't think I was being weird, but that's another thing about vlogging. You go up on the internet and people expect you to be a certain way, or you act different than people they might know in their life. So they're just like, you are peculiar. I'm like, yes, I am. But I'm all good. I think mostly what happens is people come in the middle of the live stream when I'm passionately talking about something. Thanks. J bless 825. Are you sure you're okay? I'm sorry, Valak. I didn't mean anything bad by responding to your concern that way, but I think majority of the time people come into the live stream. I think you are very okay. Thank you, Alexander. People come into the live stream when I'm talking very energetically about something and my cheeks are getting flushed and I'm just throwing my hands everywhere. And then the person's like, "Are you okay?" Because they just got on the video. But obviously, we're all doing good. Why do people keep asking, "Are you okay?" Everything okay at home? Yes, I'm in my own home. And I say that everything is okay. Someone is behind you. Who is she? That would be my guardian angel, the Blessed Mother, and probably my great-grandma, and whoever else is behind me. It scares me just how many people don't believe heaven and hell exist. Well, that's what makes you so special. That's what makes you blessed and gifted with such wisdom, because it's a gift. Sometimes I wonder, gee, I know it's not on me that I came to this understanding and this belief, and I'm just like, thank you, Lord. Thank God that I can see some of these things and know some of these things. Are you going to be a nun? I think you'd be a great nun. Alexander, I have thought about that many times, many times. And I've been thinking about it again, especially over the past month. I was thinking about it again because it's only natural to think about it again. And I think more people should just go through the trial period of it anyway, if they have any little inclination, especially in today's culture. But I know, never mind. But it'd be cool if a lot of us were just like, so you're Catholic, did you go to a convent and check it out yet? Like, what if it was just a normal thing to go and check out convents because you're Catholic and you might not know if that's what you should do or not. It's not like the full commitment, obviously, but it's like, oh, maybe you should go do that for a time. Yeah. The Crunchy Catholics is on. Hi, guys. So somebody just asked me about if I'm going to be a nun again. I believe it's asked like every live stream, and that's awesome. So funny you should say, hope you become a Carmelite nun, because I think about that a lot. But there are a lot of things that stop me from doing that. Oh, geez. Hold on. I don't even know if this is a serious question or not, because it is very serious if it is a serious question. I'm a virgin and my boyfriend is 2 years older than me. He is 16. And should I go to the next level with him because he wants to? But I'm scared. No. No. If you are 14 years old, one, I know you might really love this boyfriend, but in no soon amount of time are you able to actually marry him. And he still has to go through all of high school and all of college, where trust me, there are going to be a lot of girls around. And you may not be his forever one, no matter how many times he says it. Yes, and if he really loves you, he will wait for a longer time. And if he leaves you because his urges at that age are so strong, and he goes to tons of other women because he doesn't understand at the time and he's kind of overwhelmed by all those things, you can pray for him. And if you truly love him, you can let go what you love, and it will come back with prayer if it is meant to be, no matter what is distracting him at this time. But honey, really, don't do that. For your mental health, for your heart, and how delicate and precious that is, I need you to stand up for yourself at this time and say no. And you might find that in saying no, he leaves. He leaves because that might have been the main reason he stayed. And that is a very telling thing. A very telling thing about somebody's love for you. So, thank you for asking that question. I'm very, 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 very proud of you that you asked. And I hope this was helpful, and I hope that if this boy leaves you and you are feeling alone, feel free to reach out to me, myself, on any of my social media, saying who you are. And I'd love to talk with you further, maybe about the situation itself in more detail, because that's what I'm here for. And maybe that was the one reason. Maybe that one question was the one reason that I had this thought, I have to go make a video tonight. I don't know why, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I just have to go. It's like I get pulled in, and just like those questions. Okay. Hi, Renee. Have you experienced depression? If so, what was your breakthrough, or how do you get it? Oh, yes. I mean, I've gone through low points in my life. Yes. I won't even shy away from saying that. Now, hold on a second. Let me get rid of somebody real quick. Sorry. Hide this user. I hope I did the right person. Okay, we good. YouTube overload is blocking your stream. Preach, for heaven's sake, preach. What do you say to people who tell you that you're delusional? I've actually never been told I'm delusional. Probably because more in my real life, I listen more than I talk, per se. I listen and I ask questions. I ask questions and more questions and more questions and more questions. I rarely have people back into a corner and say, well, what do you honestly think about this? Usually, I'm getting to know somebody, and I sit there, and they talk, and I'm learning about their life in the present, in the now, because that is what I have with them. It's the present in the now. And I ask them why they believe the things they believe or whatever, and I find the beauty in parts of their answers. And I try to find in the person the desire for the good, the true, and the beautiful, And I try to ask them questions that build on that and kind of make them expand on that, because it's deep within all of us. The truth is deep within all of us. So I enjoy asking people questions about what they think and eventually uncovering some conclusions that we actually have in common. And usually I don't shy away from saying I'm Catholic. People don't say you're delusional usually, right? When you're like, I'm Catholic, you're delusional. Doesn't happen that much in public, let's be honest. Oh, good night. You're going to bed. So that doesn't happen very often, but I love to be a Catholic in the world and then point out to people that, oh, I actually believe this same underlying thing. I don't believe all that stuff you just said, but hey, actually, that's very similar to what I believe right there, and I'll tell you why. And then I kind of tie in why that is similar. And I kind of open the door to the Catholic faith to them in that way by saying, you're actually right about that one point there. Instead of just being eager to talk their ear off about stuff. That's how I just am in conversations. I'm not the person to bring up the flashcards with point-by-point stuff as much as I try to really get to know the person and be their friend if I have the time to be their friend. Because you always have to leave people in a better place than where you left them. So either I like to make them think, or I like to make them happier for the rest of their day. I think that's the goal when I socialize with people. Doesn't always work, because sometimes I'm in a rush or busy or in a bad mood. God forgive me. But that is the goal when I socialize. So I'm not called delusional very often, because I don't just pop up in people's face and start gabbing on about heaven and hell. So, but I like going on this channel though. Okay. Oh, don't worry about it, Alec. You're good. Okay. Yeah, and see, if you tell me, Alec, that you don't believe in God, I'll be like, okay. And I try to envision a whole life you could have gone through that would have ended in such a conclusion, with all of its life experiences and things you've been taught and told and seen in life that would impact having a belief like that. I try to envision that, like you have the perfect reason for not believing in God. I assume that. And so I'm not angry or aggressive or bitter when I go into the conversation. I immediately think they could have had all these life experiences that have drawn them to this conclusion. Okay. And then I would want to talk to you about what those things were, or I would just want to know them. But even before then, I feel like I'm a person who would want to know you as a friend first and go hang out and do fun things, genuinely, and just add something positive to your life, because everybody's suffering, everybody's going through stuff, and it's not my job to just come in and be like, hey, so God, as much you might rather be like, I'm feeling really lonely this week. I wish there's somebody to hang out with, grab something to eat, go for a walk, that would be great. Maybe that's what you need from me at that time, so that's what would happen. That's how I would approach it. I wouldn't, yeah. It's about love and friendship, because faith doesn't grow outside of that. It doesn't just grow off pages of a book. Life experiences happen that solidify it and make actual conversions happen anyways. So I'm not just there to throw points at you all the time. No, Valak isn't a troll. Don't think he's a troll. He's been on here the whole time. Very awesome guy. Okay. Favorite tea, chamomile or peach. Those are my favorite teas. Are you drinking a beer? No, I'm not drinking a beer. It's Pure Life. This is some other tea. Pure Life brewed tea. And I was trying backwards. But I have my hot cup of tea over here. So it's not hot anymore because I've been on here for an hour and 10 minutes. I'm I'm not drinking beer. Good grief. Kids named after saints is awesome. Okay. What are you drinking? Okay. Preach the gospel every time, and if necessary, use words. Yeah, everybody always attributes that quote to St. Francis, but apparently he didn't actually say it. I don't know, but it's still a great quote, so nobody cares. I'm sure St. Francis is like, I didn't say that, but sure, it's not wrong. I like that quote a lot too. Yeah, because when you encounter people in the world, you encounter them in the here and now, and with whatever they're suffering with here and now, and struggling with here and now. They could have had someone pass away last week in their family, and that's what they're currently dealing with, and that's what you come up to them and help them with and address. It's called being a real friend. So as opposed to just being like knocking on their door early in the morning and just be like, have you heard of our Lord and Savior? Like, no, but someone just, died last week, so I would actually like time to grieve about that. Like sometimes people need different things at first when you meet them. Get to know a person. Just get to know a person. Goodness. Where are you based out of? Wouldn't you like to know? I wish I could be 100%, open with all of you and be like, yeah, let's get coffee. Let's like go chat. Let's have talks at these places. And that would be really, really great. But I have to tell you, the sad reality of this nice little vlog that you see is not a very, like, how do I say this? I have to be very careful about my safety. And I have had run-ins in the past multiple times where it's been very dangerous to say details about my life, because there are people online that are not so nice, that have I don't even want to say, but I have to be very careful for my safety on the internet, so I cannot say exactly where I'm based out of, even though I want to, because 98% of you, probably more like 80% of you on the internet watching me, are awesome people that I would love to meet and talk to. But over 8 years of being a young girl on the internet, trust me, I have people who follow behind me that are not good people, that I've had to report in various ways because they would track down details about my life. So, and it was, at some points, it was enough to get me to stop vlogging altogether and stuff like that. So there are times when I just stopped vlogging for random periods of time, and then people are like, why? And I'm like, oh gosh, long story, but here I am again. Okay, but yeah, you want to know where I'm based out of? I would say Pennsylvania is a pretty big state, so there you go. I would say like Pennsylvania, Ohio, but even then I'm like nervous to say that, but what can you do? Hi from Canada. I want to go up to Canada this year. I thought I might go ice skate on the river and get hot chocolate on the river. That always looked fun. Better to meet us all in heaven someday. Amen, James Williams. I don't want to leave and miss something. Will you post this later or nah? Yes, I can post it later. For sure. Thanks, Christian. Thank you so much. I love the people of Pennsylvania. Yeah, they're pretty great. I'm saddened by the Pennsylvania scandals, though. I'm not originally from Pennsylvania. Fun fact, though. Very fun fact, though, about the Pennsylvania scandals that were released. I had a moment of hope when I researched my grandmother's cousin, who was the late Bishop of Columbus, Bishop Griffin, who was actually he was a fiery Irishman who actually became well known for how well and how aggressive he handled the sexual abuse cases of Columbus, Ohio. And there are headlines of him, threatening to kick out these priests if they don't, this or that. He was this guy that was just like, nope, out, get. And then at his retirement, his big quote was that I'm pleased with how the Columbus Diocese was able to handle the sexual abuse cases that we encountered better than a lot of other dioceses. He was afraid to say, not a lot of other dioceses did very well, but I'm happy with how Columbus and this diocese was able to handle a lot of their cases. And when I read that, I was just kind of given hope. I'm like, we need to show the good examples of how this was dealt with in the right way and bring that to the forefront, because reading that just helped me as a Catholic to know that there were these hard-headed bishops out there like, heck no, you don't. Get out of my church, I'm thinking of going to Franciscan University. Any advice related to applications? I want to study catechetics and theology. Well, I studied communications at Franciscan, and I'm ashamed to admit I only applied to one college because I was like, hey, it's close to home, and I wanted the connections with EWTN because I wanted to work there someday. I always wanted to work there someday. And then right when the day they offered me a job, actually last month, finally, and I was already at a job that I love. I'm like, you guys gotta be kidding me. Since I was 15, I wanted to sweep the floors at EWTN. And right when I get this fantastic other job, you guys were like, hey, we need a communication specialist. I'm like, you're kidding me. I can't move to Alabama. Ugh, so sad. Anyway, so I went to Franciscan. It has been 6 years since I filled out any applications for Franciscan, so I must say they're probably not the same, but I will say with much humility that if I can get into Franciscan, you can probably get into Franciscan. If you have a genuine heart and love of the faith, they're going to let you in. Don't freak out, just get everything done, get everything in. I was never very academically on point, ever. I just am not that way. I am not, I have a very kind of scattered brain for a couple of reasons. I work for the church, and working for EWTN would be like playing in Yankee Stadium. I know, right? Okay. But I think you'll do all right at Franciscan. I think you'll get in just fine. I wouldn't be too scared of the application process. Yeah, I've never heard of somebody actually getting rejected from Franciscan. And the only reason they do that maybe is because they don't have enough space. Because I've heard the dorms have been overflowing. Thanks, Renee, for being a devout Catholic in the midst of ongoing bishop's crisis. Well, thank you for being one too. And I must say, like I always say, that the church, many times in history and today, if the church is on fire, I hope to see you guys inside of it helping me hold up the pillars and not running out of it. Come on now. So, thank you, you guys. Okay. What are you doing now for work? Have you made new friends, since moving? Yeah, for work. Have you guys heard of Ascension Presents with Father Mike Schmitz? I work for them. I am public relations for Ascension. I don't specifically work with Father Mike since he films off, with where he lives in his diocese. But I work for Ascension. They called me up and they said, you've been online for so many years and that's awesome, and we'd love for you to come and do the interview process for this job. And I was like, dang, okay, cool. And then I got it, and then I moved. So that was crazy. I've met Father Mike over video chat. So not in person yet, but I will, because we have this retreat every year, company-wide retreat, and they'll meet him there. That'll be exciting. Mm-hmm. So I got that job, and then EWTN's like, hey, so do you want to come work for us? And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I've been chasing your job my whole life. I've been shaping my whole internet presence to maybe one day, go on EWTN. That'd be cool, But my mom always said that sometimes things will be made a little bit easier if you're supposed to do them or follow that path, and not very disruptive and awful. And awful to do. So in this situation, I'm at Ascension right now. It applies to this situation specifically, not all situations, but I'm comfortably at this job at Ascension, and I love it very much. And I'm all like moved in and happy and just loving life. And then EWTN's like, come to Alabama. And my mom's like, look, like, don't uproot everything just to jump down there at this point. And you know what? I politely declined. I recommended a friend of mine who was just fabulous, who lives in Florida. And when the response I got back was, well, if you're ever looking in the future, we'd love to hear from you again, or we'd love to, have you apply in the future at some point. So EWTN said, if you ever want to come over, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that might happen. Maybe. I used to watch EWTN when I was 15 with my Byzantine Rite grandma, because she had cable and my house did not, which is probably really good now that you think about it. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for not giving me cable as a kid for some reasons. But if I post Father Mike memes, will I be banned? I don't know. Are they bannable memes? You tell me. Hold on, I got a Snapchat from my friend Mary. Instagram and seeing happy. Oh, great. Okay. Okay, a whole month of Advent. Well, this has been fun. It looks like it might be slowing down a bit. Though, wait, wow, maybe we're not. We have like 82 viewers. This has been a huge live stream, and you know why? Because it's Sunday night, and people don't want to go to bed because work is tomorrow. So they're all on the internet and dreading going to sleep and waking up to, well, in some places, just a cold bedroom and having to get out of bed and trudging off to work on less sleep because you stayed up late all weekend and are out of sync with your original clock, all that fun stuff. So I know why you are up. Everyone's like, wow, that is so correct. It's the Sunday night dread. You all are here. I should know this, and I should live stream on Sunday nights because you all are up. Or is that bad? Am I keeping you awake? No, I would say I'm taking your attention from all the other things you could potentially be watching on a sketchy Sunday night. So, yeah, I could be saving you from watching all sorts of things, and instead you're with me. And that is a great place to be. Okay. I haven't gotten a work call for tomorrow, so am I blessed? Is this a sign? Yes, it is. How do you go about finding a Catholic job? I mean, there are all kinds of Catholic jobs, from small ones in gift shops and stuff, and radio stations, to bigger ones. I guess it's just persistence in your faith publicly can sometimes get you, in labeling your face as Catholic in front of the whole world, can get you jobs at big Catholic companies because you haven't been afraid to stand up like that for the faith. And if you do it for a very long time, even better. So that could get, I guess that's how you get the attention of some bigger Catholic companies. So yeah, I guess a lot of volunteering in a way could get you recognized by Catholic companies because they're like, she's already helping the Catholic faith for free and has been doing that for years, so we know she's genuine, so we want her on our staff with whatever talents you would be bringing to the table job-wise. I'm in marketing development, and I wouldn't be able to work in a secular position, especially in those fields nowadays. Well, that's what I do. I'm in marketing, but development, I don't know. Do you prefer high or low mass? I am blessed to be in the presence of the Eucharist every time I get the opportunity and get myself to it. The Eucharist is Jesus, and if I can get myself to Mass, I like to think of things on the very foundation, the very underlying big meaning. And the big meaning is Jesus in the Eucharist. I am definitely a promoter of tradition, because it is good, it is true, and it is beautiful. I am a promoter of what is beautiful. But there's been so much arguing and clashing and disruption over the choices that Catholics have tried to, how do I say this? The separations that have gone on within Catholicism of, do you like this or this? Stand over there if you like this, stand over there if you like this, stand a little bit more to the left if you like both these things. And so in this kind of a church attitude, I'm always, when I'm asked these questions, even though I'm a great pursuer of what is good, true, and beautiful, and a great lover of tradition and like Latin Mass and the liturgy, and I just have to say, above all, it's like when I can get my little self to the presence of the Eucharist, that is my goal. That is what I hope to do, and that's like, yeah, it's just very hard to say, I choose this and this and this and this is my favorite and that's not my favorite. And it's hard for me to do that because of all the separations going on within the church over liturgical issues. I have to come to some way of maintaining internal peace, like Padre Pio says we must maintain, despite everyone's different preferences and the best form of the Mass, the best way you can say Mass, and the ways Mass is said all over the place that are not the best. So if I come upon a Mass, I finally find a church in some town, I'm like, oh good, I'm not gonna miss Mass. I rush in there. The Mass is awful, has like really annoying music, and the people are all dressed like they're all dressed in pajamas. I don't know. And the priest is very half-heartedly saying the whole Mass. I have to be sure, first and foremost, remember, you have to take care of yourself first and foremost when it comes to spiritual things. And so the first attack that you can experience during a bad Mass is the attack on your inner peace that affects you the most, more than everybody else in the room, that you feel like would benefit more from a better Mass. At that Mass, you have to keep your inner peace in the moment, in that moment. Don't let it fly away, and you have to just focus on the great mercy, the beautiful things about that Mass, the underlying foundations that remain the same, true, beautiful thing, no matter what the Mass is looking like. And that is the great mercy that Jesus Christ comes down in the Eucharist, no matter what music is playing, no matter what the state of the people is in the pews, no matter how much the priest is mumbling, the fact that he still comes down, even in the most ugly Masses. Jesus is like, and I will still come down for you guys, even though you're imperfect, and even though this Mass is literally awful, I'm gonna come down and reach out to you all, even at this Mass. And like, if you really, really, really think about that, you can come to a conclusion, wow, this is actually a really, really beautiful thing, despite it initially not looking so beautiful and disturbing me at first and making me angry at first. And then suddenly that turmoil and that anger and that distraction that had your brain going in all different directions while you're like, I'm trying to focus on Mass and this music is awful and these people are all slobs and the priest is mumbling. While you're in that interior turmoil and your inner peace is gone, remembering what I just said, that still remembering that this great mercy, let's have a really awful Mass and then see what Jesus does. Oh my goodness, he came down anyway. What? And I need you to, and I always need to focus on that. And then that inner turmoil in me can go, wow, even despite everything, he's still here. He still came down and he still reached out to me, who honestly and spiritually can be quite a slob. as much as, I can interiorly be in pajamas as much as the people at that bad mass are in pajamas. It's like, and then after the mass, you can go up to the priest and be like, hey, Father, I know this really great guy who plays pretty music, and I would recommend him to you. Then you can go fix the problem. But I'm telling you first and foremost that you have to make sure you calm down that inner turmoil and keep your inner peace, because that is hurting you first and foremost. And first and foremost, you have to take care of yourself spiritually and remain calm and peaceful and find the beauty in things, because Satan hates that, and it'll annoy him to death if he throws all these situations and these annoying things, like maybe a street sign that reminds you of something in your past that just makes you go, oh, or a bad mass that makes you go, oh gosh, we need to fix this and make it better, and these people are dressed like slobs. If you're able to just go, oh, there's that street sign with that name of that person or whatever that I don't want to think about, and at first you're like, but if then you go, whatever. And then if you're in that mass and you see it's all messy and ugly, and then you're like, you're in turmoil again, and then you think, but Jesus comes down anyway. Wow. Satan's going to be on the side like, what the heck? I'm trying to throw her off. I'm trying to take away her peace so that her life comes tumbling down and she gets sad and angry about the world and the church. And it's the first person being attacked at a bad mass is you and your peace. So you've got to keep that. And so I was like, how do I keep it? How do I keep it? Oh, the mercy of the Eucharist happening during anything. During the mercy of the Eucharist still happening during a bad mass. Wow. So that's what I would use to calm down. But so Renee, do you like the high mass or the low mass or the Eastern Rite liturgy better? Ranking those all day in my head does not help me spiritually, but I can go and be a promoter of goodness, truth, and beauty at parishes I'm a part of. But I've never labeled myself as anything but Catholic. I never want to label myself as a traditionalist. I never want to label myself as a charismatic. I never want to label myself. I can, however, label myself as Eastern Rite, Ukrainian, because that is part of my background and my culture. So yes. Good night if you're going to bed. I know a lot of you have to work tomorrow, so it's been lovely talking to all of you. Babies are a sign of God's presence. Oh, that's real cute. That's real cute. Oh, can I tell you guys a story about it was last Sunday. People always bring up the fact there are gluten-free hosts and all that, but I still don't take them because they just have a little bit in them, and I can't have the little bit of gluten. But anyway, last Sunday, I was trying to receive the Eucharist. I sat in the back of the church because guess who was a little late? Me. So guess who sat in the back? Me. And guess who's actually a little shy in public and doesn't like to stand always up at the front of the church, which is on me and any social anxiety I get in big groups of big people? Me. So I'm sitting in the back because it's hard for me to sit at the front sometimes. So it's time for the distribution of the body of Christ, and everybody's going up their lines and receiving. And I realized that, I wish I could explain exactly how the church was set up, but I had to dodge a couple pews and Eucharistic ministers and holy water fonts to get to the actual front of the church. And right as I was going up to the front of the church, the deacon and the priest did a sharp right turn and went to the side of the church and then down the other side of the pews while I was coming up the aisle. So they were walking away. I was like, oh, darn it. So I had to chase him all the way back. And this was so funny. But I finally got up to the deacon and I was like, hey, I have an allergy. Okay. And I received the blood of Christ. And then I sat back down in the nearest pew because I wasn't doing a whole loop around back to where I was sitting. Forget that. But as I sat down and I started to pray post-Eucharistic reception, I just thought of the words, "Who touched me?" that Jesus said to the woman who's chasing after him in the crowds just to try to touch him. And he says, some power went out of me. Who touched me? And that's who I felt like last Sunday, was the woman who literally dodged all his stuff, went all the way around, and then they walked that way. And I was like, oh, I have to chase him around again. And I finally like ran up to it. Didn't run. I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to be cool and walk at a good pace. But I did make the length of my steps a little longer to go faster. Tall people perks. And yeah, I just had to tap him on the shoulder to get him to turn around. And not being a perfect Catholic and having ups and downs in my spiritual life, that Sunday was particularly important to me because I was actually going to receive it, which is always really great. I was going to go receive, and then Jesus ran away from me. And I had to run after him if I really wanted it. Sure, I could have just sat down and said, oh, they're taking it away now. But that Sunday I was like, no, I'm going to go get it. And so it was quite the show. And I think I went back and posted online somewhere. I was like, when you have to dodge holy water fonts, Eucharistic ministers, and pews to get to the Eucharist. And the deacon says, weird flex, but okay. It's a thing the young people are saying these days. Weird flex, but okay. So it was a weird flex for me to like run around in circles after the deacon, not the dude, to get the Eucharist. Have you ever heard of Acorn? I have Crohn's disease and I can't have wheat. And yeah, I have a couple people I know in my family who have Crohn's disease, and I have celiac disease. That's very interesting. Okay, so my laptop is on 6% and the charger for it is at work. So I'm going to have to go soon, guys, if I want to be able to post this before the computer dies. And honestly, I should get to bed because it's 11:30. Luckily, I work pretty close from home. It doesn't find my manager. Phoenix 96. Vatican II wanted to allow the vernacular language instead of only Latin. That's one thing. It doesn't explain why they would ban the Trinity Mass entirely. Yeah, it doesn't explain that. That's strange. I kind of agree. So, okay. Okay, good night, everybody. I know a lot of you are going to bed, and I'm going to have to go to bed, like I said, so thank you. Okay, they didn't. I'm under the impression that nobody read the documents and did whatever they wanted because it's the 60s. Yeah, it's complicated. Good night. Oh, you were in Ireland? That's awesome, Leo. Well, hello to Ireland and good morning to Ireland. My boyfriend is an atheist. Any advice for discussing our differences? Huh. Well, I mean, if he's your boyfriend, you already know him pretty well. I don't know if he ever talks to you about that kind of thing. And I'm sure you've been a little bit outward about your faith around him, perhaps. Maybe. I don't know. Because sometimes it just comes down to praying for somebody, but I know you're probably already doing that. Oh. He talks about it a lot, actually. Good. Totally knows. Great. If you invite your boyfriend to Mass, is it considered a date? LOL. I mean, if you go to brunch afterwards. I'm kidding. I don't know. I don't know if I have any particular advice, Susan, because each faith is personal. So you know him the best. I don't. But maybe reading Scott Hahn's Rome Sweet Home could give you some pointers. I know like 2 people that were converted by that book, or it just gave them the final push. So Sunday morning Mass is a new dating frenzy. Oh no. I mean, seriously, what's more beautiful than going to Mass with a date, though? That's really, really nice. My grandma died on Thanksgiving, and I found a St. Francis relic. Do you know how I can confirm it's real or not? Well, no, I don't know how you can confirm if a St. Francis relic is real or not, but you can pray to St. Francis and have it with you, because it may just result in you acknowledging St. Francis more, like an original relic's purpose is, and can't promise it has the same kind of effect as a relic, but at the same time, I'm sure St. Francis will listen to you and if you include him in prayers. So use that relic and keep it around so that you're just reminded to keep St. Francis closer. And then I believe it'll have a great end, no matter if you find out if it's real or not. I had a St. Padre Pio relic that's kind of the same way. I'll never really know, but every time I see it, I think of him and I keep him in mind in prayer. So whether it's real or not, use it and see it and make it have a great purpose. Fulfill it in prayer, if that makes sense. You'll find out. There's some things we'll only find out in heaven. That's one of them. Are you still in New Catholic Generation? Yes, I am. There's just a shortage of staff members where I am, so I'd literally be like vlogging myself at this point. But I try to make trips over to Franciscan to be part of videos and get in skits. So I will be going to Franciscan to show up in the videos, so don't worry about that. But it is a slow going thing. But NCG still has the opportunity to keep going by the grace of God, so we're going to keep trying. So we're just going to keep trying one day at a time. All right, you guys. Yes, David browses Catholicism Reddit all the time. All right, is Ascension hiring? Yeah, we have a hiring page, but it's kind of really hard to apply in some ways and get through the whole process. But you can try on the ascensionpress.com careers page. Okay. Good night, everybody. My laptop's on 4%. Well, I got 3% more, don't I? So maybe I'll stay. Is there a wrong way to pray? Yeah, I would say so. And I think you know when you're praying wrong because you'll know it kind of in your heart. You'll just kind of know. Because praying should feel, because it is, like a real connection and conversation. And yeah, we're not always in the mood to pray. We don't always have a huge feeling of connection while we're praying. But even so, I think it's wrong to pray for the sake of numbers, like stacking up points and saying, well, I prayed 5 rosaries today, so it's more likely to happen. When really you were just like rattling them off just to get to those numbers. If you said 5 rosaries in high communication and love to, Jesus and Mary and the mysteries, and had deep meditation on the mysteries and said 5 rosaries, then I'd be like, yeah, it might be more likely to happen. I mean, it sounds like you have a great faith life and a great communication with God. But as they said, one Hail Mary said, the right way is worth 100 rattled off thoughtlessly. So, yeah. More. Oh, I kind of believe that with all the people that they say that pray for me and stuff, I do credit still being here a whopping 8 years later through high school and through college and through the beginning of my new life out on the job. I credit still being here and still showing up and still getting up every time I trip and fall on my face. I credit a lot of it to the prayers that people say for me. And I know the fact I'm still on here is because of prayer, I think, because it's not always fun for me to label my face as Catholic in front of the whole world for 8 years in a row, despite all the negative stuff that you can get back from that. It's not fun. And it's kind of exhausting because sometimes you just want your private life. You want your own personal social media, again, that's just your family, your cousins, and your best friends. And I don't have any of that. And yeah. But I just feel like this is way more important, and I now consider it, after a long time, I do consider it part of just my vocation in life, is to be here just as I am. Not really anything too fancy or whatever. Just to be a friend on the internet from very far away. So, thank you for watching, everyone. We had quite a viewership tonight because everyone's dreading going to work tomorrow and they're up late. I'm glad they were watching this video as opposed to a lot of other things out there. That's good. Okay. All right, thank you, everybody. I'm gonna go and pray a rosary for you guys. I would have said it on the live stream, but I have 2% remaining, so I can't. Yeah. But if any of you want to join me, you can even just fall asleep saying a rosary, or fall asleep with one in your hand if you're having trouble feeling peaceful tonight. Sometimes I just grab it and I wrap it around my hand a couple times, and then it stays the whole night. Like, I don't know. And yeah, there's been a couple times I wake up and it's still in my hand. Most of the time, no, it's everywhere else but my hand. So, yeah. Great. Good night, everybody. 2% remaining. How can you pray for me? You can pray for my mental clarity. And I'll say that because I have celiac disease and because I ate bread for such a long time and a bunch of other things I probably shouldn't have eaten, my brain can have a very hard time putting thoughts together and putting thoughts into words, which is why I'm always kind of amazed when I come on this channel, just from personally knowing myself and how I am socially in public and in conversation. I'm not very smooth, and I'm not very good at school, or academically I'm not very good. It's true, it's on paper that I'm not very good. Your computer will likely die during this stream. 1% remaining. But I'm smooth on this channel somehow, and it helps me. And so I like, and I feel thankful to God that I'm able to sometimes coherently explain some things about Catholicism to you. It's good. So if you could pray for my mental clarity and my inner peace, and that I make good decisions. And I'll pray the same for all of you. All right, everyone. Good night. I'm going to end the live stream here. God bless.